Check. 1, 2, 3.
The Debrief. This is the Debrief.
Your guide to Detroit.
Your guide to Detroit's arts
and entertainment scene.
This is the Debrief.
Hello and welcome to the Debrief, the week of October 8th, 2018. I'm your co-host. My name is Seth Ressler.
And I'm Becky Scarcello.
And you might notice that there's just two of us here this week.
Just us two. Yeah, just the two of us.
I feel like I'm Will Smith and you're my kid.
No.
We have been off for a couple of weeks. There was a little bit of vacation in there. Mm-hmm. There was a little bit of traveling, but also some retooling of the podcast.
Yeah, getting down to basics, re-strategizing.
We've been in the lab. We've been thinking about some things. One of the things you'll notice this week is that Jag is no longer with us here on the show. Jag,
we miss him.
This has happened a couple of times to us. Jag just got so busy with his podcast producing career that started taking off, and so he just came to us and said he didn't have time. You remember this happened with Mike Jeter.
Exactly.
You know, same thing.
Yeah,
it's comedy
like
career.
The birdies flee in the nest. You know, they're ready to fly on their own.
I feel like Dr. Dre and having all these guys like Eminem and Tupac coming off of my record label and going on to be huge superstars. That's kind of...
It's very similar. Yeah. I was thinking that. Yeah.
They're the Dr. Phil to my Oprah Winfrey. Is that what it is?
Right. And I'm your Gail.
Yes, there you go. So anyway, we've decided that because these third co-hosts keep leaving us, they're like Spinal Tap drummers. They just disappear in a puff of smoke. We're going to make that a rotating chair from now on.
I love it.
We're going to have a different co-host on. We're going to get chefs in here. We're going to get comedians in here. Musicians,
artists.
You name it. They're going to sit down. They're going to co-host the show with us. And we've got a very special one with us this week.
One of my favorites.
It's somebody, I'll give you a hint, somebody we've had on the show before.
It is true.
So if you've been a long-time listener, you may recognize her. Yeah, we'll bring her on in just a bit. We got to get her on quick too because I know she's got to run.
She's got to
she's got a schedule that she's got to keep. So she's on the show today. Also, I pulled out an old interview that we did. This is the very first episode that we ever released of the Debrief.
Way before my time.
Yeah, before you were even on the show, I had an opportunity to sit down with Ed Erebus of the Erebus Haunted House in Pontiac. This is this huge haunted house.
Oh my gosh. I never knew that was his name.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's pronounced differently.
Sure.
Like it's like a tongue twister every time I have to
but
say
you can
it.
see.
Yes. So we'll play some of those clips as well. And of course on Thursday we have our in-depth interview. This Thursday we have Chef Maxwell Hardy. This is the guy behind River Bistro and Coop.
I'm so excited to talk with him.
He's a Detroiter who has come back. He left. He went to Miami. He went to New York. He became like a big superstar chef.
Sure, yeah.
All kinds of amazing things. And he's back here in the city. So we'll talk to him in just a bit. Also, we've got all your concerts, comedy, plays, food, drink, and more. Stick around.
Keep up with us.
The
Download our mobile app.
The Debrief.
All right, excited to have our first regular guest host.
And she could not be a better first regular guest host. So excited.
And we're having you on because we've had you on before. We loved having you on before. Mahogany Jones, the rapper, the 2016 Kresge Arts Fellow. You're a hip-hop ambassador. You're teaching over at DIME, that's the Detroit Institute of Music Education, and over at Living Arts. We're so glad to have you back on the show.
I'm so happy to be back amongst good company and friends here at the Debrief.
Yes.
So
yeah, welcome. You've been up to a lot of things too, because it's been a while since we've talked to you.
It's tough to keep up.
Yeah,
I mean, she is tireless.
Let's start with you just gave a talk at TEDx Detroit.
yes, and it was
not a talk. It was an experience. She killed it. I am not kidding, and not just because you're my friend. I mean, it was really amazing.
It was a lot of doing the talk for several of my friends so that it would be that, because at first I'm sure they were like, but it was great.
Well, you put in the work.
So explain what it is. For people who don't know what TEDx Detroit is, explain what that is and how you got invited to be a part of it.
Pretty much it's some of the greatest, like, just thought leaders in technology, in music, in art, and just different innovations, just sharing their ideas and spreading ideas. And so I applied. I wanted to spread a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of love. And so threw my hat in the ring, and I got a congratulations back, and there it was. But this year was the 10th anniversary for TEDx Detroit, and some phenomenal people spoke, shared, played, and it was it was my first time doing TEDx, or getting to experience it. Of course, you watch it online.
Right.
But I'd never experienced anything like that, from a millionaire, like teenage entrepreneur who makes like lollipops that are like
the
good for your
ones,
teeth.
right? Yeah.
To Jamel Hill over at ESPN. So it was really, really good.
I love how they keep it moving. I mean, each presentation is short. What is it? 10 minutes, 9 minutes?
Yeah. It's either 8 or 12 minutes. And it was so funny because one of my friends who is a musician and she has a string quartet, she said, she's like, it was great, but it was really hard because our art doesn't really lend itself to that, that time constraint, so it was crazy.
Yeah.
What
but
happens?
It kept it moving, and then there were also performances.
Is it like the Oscars? Do they play you off if you go too long, or what happens?
I think you just got to come prepared. It was very tight. I don't think
it's like go out and be ready and let's go.
I think everyone was. Some people were better than others, but everyone had a passion for what they were talking about.
How does that compare? I mean, you've obviously performed a lot on stage.
It was a different type of preparation. I think, to have music, to have it to a meter, but then to literally, have what it is that you want to say, but to be able to share it in a way that doesn't sound like, and then, I mean, pretty much, what you do on the podcast, and being able to talk in that kind of way or communicate what it is that you feel and think. So it was way different, but I liked it.
Well, I think what made yours really stand out too was how personal, like you saw your heart up there. She was telling this inspiration by way of saying to exemplify Cardi B, okay?
Which I don't think right now was great considering her her latest
but you personalize
exploit.
it in a way, exactly. But it was almost, she was a metaphor.
Yeah.
For, believing in yourself, being the loudest one in the room when you're doing what you believe in, dare to be different, that kind of thing. And it was so real.
I think that from what I watched, I mean, I'm not going to lie and say I didn't watch a few to say, okay, what are these people doing? How does this work?
Yeah, who did you watch as you're prepping for this?
Let's see. I watched the co-star for Issa Rae's Insecure. I watched her give her speech. And just like random people whose titles just kind of like jumped out at me. And those are the ones that I liked best. People who came and it was like super robotic. I just really didn't have a connection to those talks. And, kind of about 30 seconds in, it was like, next.
Right.
So what's his name? I think his name is Amr. Did he spoke this year? I wish I knew his last.
Oh, the comedian?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
I wish I did too. I should have.
Phenomenal.
Amazing.
Oh my God.
Okay, so he was. How do you even describe it?
I mean, he was just super candid and raw about ideas in a room full of people that I'm sure he knew might have been slightly uncomfortable with him addressing the fact that he was like an Arab in America. But he was just so raw and real with it and honest and funny.
Super funny.
That you couldn't do anything but hear what he was saying in between the laughter, but you got the points that he was trying to communicate. And I think those are the best, that's the best way to communicate to me.
Yeah.
Is to just be direct.
So is yours up online yet? Can we, for those of us who had to work?
Well, I had to work too, but
It's like,
took some time.
Finagled a few things.
Yeah. Switched around.
Is it online yet? Or
it is online, but it's like it's not cut yet.
Okay.
So I know that my minute marker is 3 hours and 10 minutes. And if you go to that, then you can see it.
I have to say too, so the whole thing was like 9-ish to 6. It flew by. I was kind of thinking to myself, I love this stuff, but do I really want to sit there? Especially because my job is moving, right? Like I'm never just sitting at a desk all day. So I thought it was going to get boring. Not at all. It just flew by. I wanted more. I wanted to see who else was coming up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about something else that you're involved with, which is Pure Movement.
Yeah.
Tell us what that is.
So I started a nonprofit pretty much based out of my own frustration with always being pegged with being a woman before my art. And I did an album for women, very reluctantly. But when I did that album, I was like, okay, it doesn't make sense to do this album and have conversation around it, but not have movement around it. And so started to have different events that spoke to different issues that kind of get swept under the rug, everything from sexual assault awareness. So we did a big Denim Day project and helped to raise money for the rape kits that hadn't been processed, and that's been done. So whoop whoop. And now this is October, which is both Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And so this year, this project, what we're doing is we are raising awareness, but also raising donations. Domestic violence is the third cause for homelessness. And we want to be able to help women who are in these situations, and winter's coming. They don't have clothes, and a lot of times their babies don't have the things that they need. So we are accepting donations for women for the Detroit Rescue Mission. And just helping those women, and we'll be serving them on the 27th.
Sexual assault's obviously been this huge national topic. I mean, the Me Too movement, we've had the Supreme Court justice hearings for Kavanaugh, and it's come up. When you look at that and against that national backdrop, what are you thinking about locally? Like what's going on in Detroit when it comes to sexual assault? How are we doing versus...
I mean, I just want to say I'm really proud that, as far as our backlog, a lot of people heard the story and assumed that we were the only city that was struggling with that. But it's actually a national problem, which is horrendous, when you think about all that goes into, first of all, just going and telling somebody.
Exactly.
And then actually getting tested. So the things that we put in place, it was almost like $1,000 to get a rape kit processed, which made it super inaccessible, especially for us in our budget. And we had legislation put in place that chopped that rate in half.
Wow.
And we put laws in place so that wouldn't happen again. So I think it's like no more than like a 14-day period.
Right.
That something gets to sit.
Kim Worthy, prosecutor, was very instrumental in making that happen. And I think so many people have joined in on that. Like I know at Feet on the Street, we did a tour that all the proceeds benefited. Sydney James, one of the artists in Murals in the Market, did this awesome T-shirt in collaboration with a former Lion, DeAndre Levy. Like there's been so many people behind it and just attacking, because when you saw all these women that they had gone 10, 12, so they went through the process that's, again, demoralizing to collect the evidence and all that, and then to have it sit there and
20
not even
years,
test
30 years,
and then there's been some tested that 10, 20 years people do then get prosecuted and put in jail.
Well, which is crazy, because there's been this whole conversation of, well, why do you wait to say something publicly? And when you hear stories about this, people who did come forward and do something about it,
and nothing changed. Yeah.
So, all right.
What I like, Mahogany, too, about your pre-movement, I just have to say, is that I follow it on Instagram, of course, and the awareness is awesome. But then I love that you're taking it the next step with the call to action, because so many of us feel like sympathetic, empathetic, we see and makes you think, oh, I didn't think about that. But then when you give people something to do, that's the whole.
But I think that's what I love about our city. That's one thing I love about Detroit, is that
doers.
We get it done. We are seriously about. No. Oh, that's happening? Oh, no. That's not going to happen here. We're going to fix it.
Yeah, and you've been a big part of that, so thank you.
Cool. Well, Mahogany, thanks for joining us on the show today. Hang out. We're going to hear a lot more about you, because among other things, you're an amazing freestyle rapper. We heard that on the last time we had you on the show.
Yes.
And there's even, I hear, world records involved, so we're going to get that story from you. And that's all coming up in a little bit. Plus, we're going to find out what goes into the making of a haunted house.
This is the D
Concert calendar.
All right, Becky, let's talk a little bit about the shows that are coming to town.
Sure thing. So this Thursday, the 11th, there's the grand opening of Aretha's Jazz Cafe at the Music Hall. So if you're familiar, the Music Hall has a lower level portion that's always been a jazz club. Now it's Aretha's Jazz Cafe.
How many things are we going to name after this woman?
How many things are going to be Aretha?
I mean...
I know, right? I didn't want to be the one to say it, but...
We've done a
Shane Park.
Right.
which I think was fitting.
Yes. Yes.
But come on.
Are we going to leave anything left for anyone else?
Yeah, right. It's not like we have no other musicians to name stuff after. I
Right.
mean, there's plenty of other,
You know what's up? Well, he's got some ways to go, but we got to leave some stuff. What
Right.
happens when Bruce, makes that transition? What happens when Stevie makes that
Right.
transition? Diana Ross.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But, Bob Seger, things
Hey.
like that, right?
Right.
So,
But the cool thing about this grand opening is getting back to our awesome local musicians. So there'll be great musicians and singers, many of whom played with Aretha herself. So we got Kimmy Horn, Rain Man, Kern Brantley, Angela Davis, Stephanie Christian, a lot of people we've talked about on this podcast, and I know that you know.
Yes.
And have
And
worked
they're
with.
brilliant.
Brilliant. So that's really cool that it's celebrated and they're going to be on stage, and it's actually free.
Oh.
yeah.
So you just need to visit the box office in person to grab those.
I want to know, I think this should be our new way of rating musicians is how many things would you name after that person once they went away?
Oh my gosh.
That's no, I know, right? No, and then how long will their funeral be?
Right.
Oh
Yes.
my goodness.
How many pink Cadillacs?
Yeah. I don't think anyone can top that. Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen it. Have you as a...
Never.
I've
No.
never. Not
Ever.
Prince,
and
not
I'm not
Michael
sure
Jackson.
we will again. I'm really, I
Yeah.
can't really.
But you know what though? I it's interesting though. I think that is really the power of music, because
Sure.
that embodied her personality.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. And a soundtrack to so many people's lives and memories. So what would you want named after you, Mahogany?
Yeah, what are we going to...
Obviously, that's going to be a zillion years from now.
Right.
Yes. I would think a school. I think that education is really important to me, and I
know that's true.
a big fan of arts education, and so I think I'd want a school. Yeah.
Love that. Yeah. So going in a whole different direction on Friday, the 12th, Social Distortion's coming to the Fillmore.
Mike Ness of Social Distortion was the first guy, I may have said this before, first guy I ever interviewed when I was in radio. And he's intimidating. He comes in, he's all tattooed up and,
Before that was a norm,
original
yeah.
punk rock guy, and I mispronounced the name of his song.
How
I
young
was
were
so
you?
nervous.
Were you pretty young?
I was in college. I must have
my
been 18, 19 years old. So
I can see how that would be. Yeah.
Have you ever been interviewed by anybody who was intimidated by you or?
You know what's so weird is I don't get when people are intimidated by me until they tell me afterwards, and it's like, why? Relax.
She's pretty friendly.
Yeah.
She's pretty easy.
Easy. It's not a big deal.
I think it's a compliment, though, usually.
Yeah.
Wow, you're just so talented.
It makes me sad because I'm just like,
well, I know, just be, because you want to just be your person. Yeah. So I think you are a judge for this, right? The Motown Museum.
And I'm very, so how can I say this tactfully? So the first round.
So we're talking about the Motown Museum, the Amplify music contest. We mentioned this on the podcast a few weeks ago, that people are able to submit videos and then they're down to the finalists now.
And it's a big deal. And the first round, it was very forgiving. And then people, I think, got wind that it was, it was room to get this cash prize. And, some of Detroit's big gun vocalists started showing up. So I think that this competition is going to be awesome. And it's a group, a lot of young people, a nice handful of young people that are competing as well. So I think it's going to be really, really good to come see it.
Okay, so the finale is at the Garden Theater this Friday. 15 final acts, and they're competing for $2,500, and I believe some kind of producing done for them. So,
he did the group back in the day called Brownstone. They were like a big R&B group, and so he managed them, and he's giving an opportunity to kind of A&R whoever wins this. So. Yeah.
Nice. So you think that the competition is steep, huh?
It's steep.
Yeah.
Is this like an American Idol where you give feedback after they perform, or do you just sort of write it down quietly?
We write it down quietly, but there's definitely been a few people I was like, come, let me talk to you.
Are you like a Simon Cowell, or are you like a Randy Jackson?
I'm in the middle. Like, I'm definitely honest, because I would want somebody to be honest with me. It's like, if you ask, like if you don't ask and you think you're the stuff, and I think that's funny. It's like you see people and they come in and it was just like a group of people that didn't necessarily want to, be in a group. They wanted to be by themselves, and they kind of have this air. And then when they're done and they see that everybody else are kind of just like,
Oh, whoops.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you looking for? Are you looking for songwriting? Are you looking for stage presence? Are you
It's
looking for
stage presence. It's originality. It's vocal ability. It's costume.
Yeah.
Just presentation, and just kind of that whole allure.
right?
Yeah, the whole Motown embodiment of that whole philosophy, right? Yeah. So Saturday, the 13th, Christina Aguilera is at the Fox. Lil Xan is at St. Andrews Hall.
Come on, Lil Xan.
I mean. And then you got Paxahow presents Kevin Saunderson as E-Dancer live at the TV Lounge. So if you want to get your techno on. Sunday the 14th. Now, this is a strange phenomenon I started finding that bands, particularly older bands, they call it now an evening with so-and-so. So it happens to be two bands, Sunday night, an evening with Simple Minds.
You know why they do that, right? It's so that they can sit down while they're performing.
I think so, too.
Like,
it makes it sound more like...
I'm not jumping around on the stage. I'm going to break a hip.
Yeah. It's like genteel.
Right.
Like
They're gonna have to name a park after me.
a bench.
Right.
So we have an evening with Simple Minds at the Fillmore and an evening with the Eagles at the
Yes.
LCA. I think so too. So they can kind of chill out, just play a little guitar and relax a bit. So Royal Oak Music this Royal Oak Music Theater, this week has Blue October, The Glitch Mob, Jessie J, and Ninja Sex Party all going on. LCA has a couple other big shows too, Elton John and the Foo Fighters. So speaking of
Wait, which one are you wowing to?
Wow, both.
I mean, yeah. So speaking of the Fillmore, we told you this summer they were doing a big renovation. So it was 4 months long. I have not been in there. Have either of you been in there yet?
Since it's been done? No.
Yeah, just reopened. The photos online look amazing. Like, I've seen so many shows at the Fillmore, and I don't remember that this is what it looks like.
Right.
So they cleaned it up, sparkling, a lot of new painting, especially the ceiling. I guess it has huge wow factor when you go in. There's a new chandelier in the lobby. It's expanded a little bit. There's new seating. There's some new murals inside that kind of are painted like a rustic landscape scene that have replaced all the curtains that used to hang there that, just stunk like the old cigar smoke still. So I guess it's amazing.
That's something that, don't take that for granted, because that does not happen
everywhere.
in every city.
Yeah.
One of the amazing things, I've lived in a lot of cities, one of the amazing things about Detroit is the way that they take the time to go back and restore old architecture, old buildings that were significant. We're lucky that they weren't all knocked
Destroyed.
down to make shopping malls or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool.
I agree. So there's another Aretha naming going on.
Come on.
I know. I had to mention it. Legislation was introduced this week. So they wanted to make a part of the lodge, the Aretha Franklin Memorial Highway.
Well,
I mean,
I want to ride on the freeway of love in the pink Cadillac.
That's what it
now
should be
she gets
called.
her own.
That's too much.
It's
Come
a
on.
lot. It's
Come
a
on.
lot.
Come on. No, it is a lot.
It's just
a
getting
lot.
trendy. It's a little
That's
trendy.
a lot.
Well,
So Sheafy McFly, he's a local guy, a musician and turned mural artist too. He's got a couple of murals in Eastern Market. He's also a DJ. So he's got a new album called The Motown Mac. Love that title. His first single is called Worried, and he just dropped the video for it. So we're going to put a link on our website, but it's pretty cool. It has a real old school feel. He's got like a mock neck shirt on with the gold chain, and just the sound of it just takes you back, but yet in this really cool, still kind of current way. And he filmed it in front of one of the murals he painted, which I thought that is very Detroit.
That's cool.
Good spirit.
Let me ask you something, Mahogany, because I was writing a blog post the other day, and I come out of alternative rock radio, and I was sort of writing about the way the music has changed and what was popular and the styles. And I mean, I remember ska having its moment, and I remember swing in the late 90s having its moment, and then we went into electronica, and Prodigy was going to be the next big thing, and then it was this new metal and all this stuff. In the world of hip hop, what have been the trends that you've seen come and go, and what's coming back?
It is nice to kind of see this whole like 90s golden era, surface, which is pretty comforting. I mean, and not to knock trap. I love I like the innovation of cadence that's in trap. I think that's cool. But yeah, to see like Logic drop his album and kind of give this ode to like boom bap, but mixed with like trap, and a lot of the production kind of has that feel. So I'm interested to see what Shifi does, and just what different artists doing. And for me, that's definitely like my era, and that's what I love, when it was like you actually had to like say words and they had to like make sense.
Right.
So no knock, no shade,
But I am old enough that I come from the area. I used to love it when the DJs used to come out beforehand and do like a half-hour set just ripping up records, because it was always, this was before the producer was the big thing. The DJ was always the big thing when he came out. Yeah, I grew up on like Kumo D and Heavy D and like that kind of stuff. And we sit here, this office that we record this in every week. The guy I work for is the guy who created the classic rock radio format, which is this
Fred Jacobs.
Fred Jacobs, the 70s, 60s, 70s. When you think about it, in hip hop for a long time there wasn't that sort of radio format that played the older music. You sort of thought that it didn't have the shelf life. But now you've got like bounce here and
which is cool. I mean, it's so funny. My friend, she's just like, as you're getting older, you have to think, there might just be adult contemporary hip hop,
right?
And that's what you'll make. And I'm like, I feel good with that. Like, I'm good with that.
If Around the Way Girl comes on, like I will turn it up.
For God's sakes, yes.
All right, and then I guess we also got to talk about this, right?
We don't have to talk about it, but if we want to,
we've got the expert in the room.
Kanye was in the D. Okay. I think this past Tuesday or so. So, I mean, I've always been a big Kanye fan, but it's getting harder and harder to be one. And I don't always know what to make of what he's got going on. But so when he came, he basically had Dan Gilbert as his tour guide, which I think is interesting, pretty telling.
That was nice.
Yeah.
That's a nice word for it.
Went to StockX and Bedrock, made the rounds. Also went to CCS, apparently made some... I know people are calling it a rant, but he was up on a desk talking about Tesla and Elon Musk and how we should leave him alone. And then that was just following the Saturday Night Live scenario where he had the MAGA hat and they cut him off. So what do you think's going on? Not that you know.
I just
you now speak for the entire hip hop
for
world,
the entire hip hop community.
Not that you can speak for Kanye, but
no, I think that he's still brilliant, and I think that in all fairness, most geniuses are crazy. So
see, that's what I say too.
And I think I feel like he flirts. He's flirted with the line to the point where he is starting to believe his own crazy. I think at first his crazy was, I think it was a well-crafted marketing scheme, and now it's not. Like now it's just crazy. So, and
you have that contrasted with, he has these full page ads through Adidas all about love in every different language. So he's also, saying all this stuff about love is some of his new music. So
I mean, but how do you?
Okay.
So you do these ads about love, and then you believe that we too should make America great again,
right?
And then you do a song that is disgusting.
Exactly.
So it's like
it's so
the levels of irony and paradox are just too thick and complicated for me. So
I know I can't make sense of it. It's very.
Does it when you become successful as an artist? I have to imagine, because your art is influenced by your life and by what's going on, and as what you are surrounded by changes, because there's fame, because there's money.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard people make this argument about Amy Schumer, for example, as a stand-up comedian, that her influences later are very different than the things that made her comedy what it was originally. And how do you deal with that, and how do you change and adapt?
I don't know.
I mean, I applaud artists who are able to be timeless, and kind of keep. And I think you said it. You touched on it. It's who's around you,
right?
Who you surround yourself.
Who are
with.
you surrounding yourself with? That's keeping you. How is Stevie Wonder able to make great music? How is Prince able to still make great music?
Right.
How was Bob Dylan able to write amazing songs? So, you know what I'm saying? So it's just...
You're saying it's because they didn't marry Kardashians.
Well, you said it.
I don't know. Yeah.
All right, coming up, if you're looking for something to do for Halloween, we'll give you some ideas.
The D. Brave.
How do you guys feel about haunted houses?
I don't like them. I don't. I would go like when it's not like for the artistry of it. I don't mind looking at gory things or whatever, but I don't want to walk through somewhere and have people touching me.
Don't jump at me.
Jumping out on me.
I'm gonna put
the walls.
Wait, you're gonna what?
I might be aggressive. Don't.
I could
That's
see
a nice
that.
way to say it.
She would be like,
You're gonna throw down in the haunted house.
I don't just would back up off me.
I can see that like sort of like the line between fear and anger is pretty slim. So.
All right. Well, I love them. I'm into it. And I went to
course.
Erebus last year. And like I said, this is an older interview. We did this in the very first podcast episode that we ever recorded. I had an opportunity to sit down with one of the two brothers who started the Erebus haunted house in Pontiac. And this, at one point, set the Guinness World Record for the largest walk-through haunted attraction. Actually, from 2005 to 2009, it was the biggest there was.
So there's a super long time you can be tortured.
Yes. Oh, it's amazing. I mean, it's amazing. It's intense to go through this.
So what was one of your scariest moments?
Yeah.
So one of the scariest moments is there's this swamp that you walk through, and I don't know what it is. It's almost like a big inflated parachute, and as you're walking through it, like you're weighed down, like you're actually
like quicksand.
I'm cool with that. I just don't want anything touching me. Like I want to see stuff. I'm like, woo.
Yeah, like
but
a museum-y.
Don't.
But next, you're gonna say somebody starts.
Did somebody
touching
come get
or
you?
There's snakes.
Well, they
coming out
always
of
do.
it or
Yeah. So
something.
let me walk you through some of the
Okay.
stuff. So first of all, when you walk in, the first thing that you see as you're going in line is that they actually have this thing called a wimp board. And Ed told me about it.
We have a wimp board. Our wimp board used to be a chalkboard. Yep, we got a wimp. And we mark a little thing. Oh, we got a wetter. Mark it over here. Our chalkboard went to a digital board. We keep track of how many people have chickened out per year and kind of wet themselves per year. And then we also have a running total. In fact, we just broke 1,000 wetters since our opening. And we average probably anywhere from 50 to 75 wetters per year. And those are confirmed by management. When I say confirmed, I mean, you just kind of shine a flashlight, you see a big wet spot in their jeans. And then the wimps, we average, 400 or 500 a year.
No,
I'm not paying you money to humiliate me. I'm going to find you. So 2 people are going to get beat up. Whoever scared me. 3 people.
Yeah.
Whoever made me pee on myself. And then whoever put me on that darn wimp wetter board. Oh my God, you can call me a wetter. Tell everybody you're crazy.
That is mean. We need a hashtag under the pure movement to stop.
That's mean.
I'm just glad it's not my job to check.
That's disgusting and that's
so
humiliating.
mean. That's humiliating.
No.
All right, well, there's more.
There's more.
I
more.
think we are justifiably turned off at this point.
One of the things that they have in there is they have this bottomless pit. Like you look down and there's no bottom to it, and you kind of have to walk along the edge, and it's like a real narrow edge. And so Ed actually told me how they created the bottomless pit.
One day at the haunted house, it rained. It rained so bad nobody came. And we sat there all night long going, man, we got to pay all the employees, all the actors, everybody else. And at the end of the night, I'm like, just shut it down. Let's get out of here. And my brother Jake goes, Ed, look at this. And here's this huge puddle, 20-foot round. And it was half on this side of the trailer and half under the trailers. But our skirts went all the way down, and the water reflected the side of the trailer. It looked like there was a 20-foot hole in the parking lot next to the trailers. Oh, man, look at that. It looked so cool, and we laughed like little kids just giggling about this hole and thought about it. And obviously you go, okay, how do you recreate that? You create that, easy. Put a mirror in the ground, right? Boom, you got a reflection, which gave you a 20, 30-foot drop, and you got a bottomless pit.
See, Mahogany, when you're an artist, inspiration can come from anywhere. Is that right?
Anywhere.
The big puddle of pee, apparently.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Well, this is one of the things that happened. There was a guy who actually lost his kid in the bottomless pit.
Oh, see.
Here's the story.
One guy and his son came through. The son fell in the hole and rolled into the dark corner. And the father didn't see it. And he's leaning over the edge going, Johnny! And the kid wasn't answering. The guy's freaking out. And here's this kid sitting in the corner probably giggling,
See, I think that's hilarious.
That's kind of funny. That's pretty funny. That's funny.
Okay, but
I mean, it's terrifying. But
and neither of you have children.
No,
Let's
I do
just
not.
say.
Right,
No.
yes.
That is really awful.
but
kind of funny.
I mean, it's pretty funny. I mean, because it's not really.
I know,
pit.
Yeah. But it's like it's one thing mess with me, another thing to mess with my kid.
But you're not. No, the kid was messing with.
Yeah, the kid was,
is.
Yeah, that's
come on,
true.
Right.
That's true.
You're getting a spanking too. Spankings for everybody. No, I'm just joking.
That's scarier than the haunted house to me.
Oh yeah.
Well, the last thing he told me about was something new that they had added last year. I think it was the first year they had it, which was this Buried Alive feature. Yeah, I'll have him explain how it worked.
We thought about Buried Alive for 6 years. Put somebody in a room, slam the door, fill it up 6'6", buried alive. How long can you hold your breath? The problem with that one is throughput. I can only get so many people through there. It takes you 42 seconds to do that. That's too long for what we need to do. So we had to build 3 of them. So we actually had 3 buried lives in a haunted house to allow everybody to go through. But now I have a problem. It's so effective. It's freaking too many people out. People won't come because I have that. So we're right now building a bypass to give people an option. Do you want to be buried alive or not?
I was in the Buried Alive last year.
What did you think? I would choose no on that.
It was, I mean, it was freaky because it's this small space. You get trapped in there, and then these balls just sort of fill up. These like the little plastic balls, like you jump in and do a ball pit, and it's freaky.
Did it seem a lot longer than 42 seconds?
No, I mean,
okay.
it didn't freak me out.
So was it scary or was it not scary? Is he making it bigger than
Yeah.
it is? I'm 5'11". Am I going to be scared?
Well, I'm 5'4", so I'm scared of everything. Yeah, I think you would be in there because I think there's a lot of places where I think actually being bigger
is a detriment.
Yes, it makes it less comfortable.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So, and I think this is one of them, getting in that Buried Alive.
So what about the people, like the actors in it, the costumes and all that? Like, is that pretty cool?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's pretty dark, so you don't see a lot. And I think a lot of it is them jumping out so that you don't see them until the last minute. I think that's what makes it scary.
So you're not really taking it in what their makeup's like.
Right, yeah, I wasn't sitting there critiquing. Oh, I don't know about that
All
costume.
Right, maybe that's the thing. Maybe before 2018 is over, I'm gonna have an experience.
I will endorse it.
Challenge.
I will say I went last year. I had a lot of fun. It was absolutely great.
So what made it fun for you?
I like these haunted houses.
Just
I like
that
going
adrenaline?
into it. Yeah, I think so. I think it's just the adrenaline rush. I think it's the going through it. I think it's the...
You made it.
We made it. Okay, we should do it.
Well, and you try not to get... You sort of... You puff your chest out. You're like, I'm not going to get freaked out by this. I know what I'm doing. And then it gets... Yeah.
It gets real.
Well, so Mahogany's going to make me go now because we talked
we're
about
gonna go.
getting together and maybe like going to the circus or something.
We're going to go.
Escaping our routine, and she's going to make me go now.
I will say the other thing that I really like about Erebus compared to... Like, I've been to Niagara Falls. You go through like the cheap, silly little haunted house one there, which is really just a bunch of people jumping out at you. This is very much done with a theme. You know? And I haven't been this year, so I don't know if they have new themes. No, I mean different
So
sections
does it feel like
of it.
escape roomish?
Like when you were waiting in line, it was like being on a spaceship.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then when you're going through the swamp, you very much feel like you're in a swamp.
And then maybe there's the psych ward.
Yeah, exactly. There's very much these different parts of it, and it's huge, and it takes a while to go through, and it's well done.
There's a few exits though, right? Like you can bail.
I wasn't looking for that.
Oh, he's like,
don't be a wimp. Don't you get on the wimp board.
Well,
We're going
I would
through
rather bail than pee my pants. Let's just be
We're not
honest.
going to pee our pants. We're going to go to the bathroom before.
Okay, good. I'm not drinking anything that whole day.
If you want all the details, you can find them at hauntedpontiac.com. That's the website. But like I said, before Halloween, definitely go check out Erebus.
Debrief.
Want more? Text the word Detroit to the number 444-999.
All right, Becky, for people who don't want to go to a haunted house, what
All
else
right,
is
I'm
going on
still
around
recovering from that conversation. So let's take it down a notch. Halloween coming up. How about for the kiddos? You got Zubu at the Detroit Zoo. I haven't been in a long time because my kids are older. It's a little bit younger kid oriented, but they've got live entertainment, jugglers, magicians.
Have you been to this, Mahogany?
I haven't, and I want to go.
It's fun. It's cute. Well, what I really like about it is lots of painted pumpkins, like in the shapes of animals. And last year they had like a Motown museum pumpkin set up. I didn't go for Zubu, but they keep them up at the zoo for a while. So those are cool to look at. They have extreme pumpkin carving kind of things like you see on TV.
Like you pull out a chainsaw?
Yeah, like, those giant ones. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I don't want to go unless I get to do a carving with a chainsaw.
Well, I don't think that's allowed, but
We'll
you
make
can
some phone calls.
probably get some
Yes.
Starburst.
Okay. Okay.
So they call it a Merry Not Scary. But they do have a haunted reptile house, which actually scares the F out of me. So I think it's scary. And there's 13 trick-or-treat stations, so kind of that whole bad luck theme that you get treats for the kiddos too. So it's $10. Kids under 2 are free. If you want to step it up a notch for a little bit older kids, the teens, the adults, there's Halloween nights at Greenfield Village. I have gone with my family and another family it'll be 12 years in a row now. Our same group, we love it. So it's all the historical theme, the costume characters. We're talking like super elaborate, like Queen of Hearts and mermaids, and like really set in the period of Greenfield Village. And there's 1,000 pumpkins all around, hand carved by volunteers with the lights in them.
That's awesome.
So wait, who hand carves?
They have volunteers.
Have you each?
I
in
hand
person.
carved. Yes, hand carve and real Christmas tree.
I have, yeah. Oh, real Christmas tree here too.
Really?
We do.
Look
We
at
do carve
you.
the pumpkins, but it's a mess and it's hard.
So I have a friend of mine in Rhode Island where I used to live a long time ago, and he just posted on Facebook about how last year what he did, because they have one of these events too where it's just a million different pumpkins, is that he snuck a carved pumpkin in with his own face on it.
What did he
put
like
it
go
on
in
display.
costume like as a pregnant
I have
woman?
no
or
idea
something?
how he
And,
did
like,
that.
shoot,
I think we should put that out as a challenge.
throw that down as a challenge.
If you listen to this podcast, we want you to sneak a pumpkin into Greenfield Village.
Yes, and you got to have photographic evidence or it didn't
Yes.
happen.
Great.
It can either be a carving of yourself or of Mahogany Jones.
Yes,
I love it. I'll take
and she's
it.
up on her
I'll
Instagram
take-
now,
oh
so
my
you
God.
can see.
I could.
I think that's a good idea. And then you email it to us, info@thedebrief.com.
What did they
So-
get?
Candy.
Yeah.
Our loving gratitude.
Bite-sized Three Musketeers.
Pennies. A potato.
Toothbrush.
Hey,
We're old school.
early Christmas.
So Greenfield Village, I don't want to knock that because it's super duper awesome. So we'll have a link on our website too. It's the next 3 weekends for that one. So non-Halloween related, there's a Detroit Art Book Fair this Saturday the 13th and Sunday the 14th at Trina Soph there on Gratiot and Eastern Market. Cool space, just a cool event. It's free, lots of books for sale. A lot of the authors and artists will be there signing copies and other cool stuff for sale. A Brain Candy event, Tasty Treats for Your Mind, it's called, is Monday, October 15th, and actually every third Monday of the month at Green Brain Comics. It's on Michigan Avenue in Dearborn. I always love these events that combine a bunch of disciplines. So they have a poet, a prose writer, a musician, and a visual artist all there on those nights sharing their talents. So there's a documentary that premiered at the end of September that hits close to me because it features a Huntington Woods native, which is where I live, and a 2003 graduate of Berkeley High School, which is where my kids go. His name is Micah Falca Feldman. So this guy has attended Oakland U. He has a certificate in disability studies from Syracuse. He's now a teaching assistant there at Syracuse's School of Education. But gets this, he cannot read or write.
Wow.
Yeah, and in 2014, he served on President Obama's Committee for People with Intellectual Disabilities. So he's in this documentary along with 2 other intellectually disabled adults just going through life, work, school. It's called Intelligent Lives, and it's all about how do we recognize the talents and the potential of everyone as a society, encourage people to pursue their passion, even if they don't follow what we think of as traditionally smart or intellectual. So Dan Habib directed this movie, and I talked to a friend of mine, I haven't seen it yet, but she saw it, and she said it really makes you question what defines intelligence and how to pursue a life with meaning and purpose. So if you want to find out more about it, intelligentlives.org tells more and has a list of screenings, and there are a lot of local ones too.
All right. If you are a fan of RoboCop, you're going to want to hear what we have to say in just a bit.
This is the Debrief.
About last week.
All right, Mahogany, we like to take a moment and reflect on what we've done in the recent past here and then on the show. And I heard a rumor that you were working on a world record.
Yeah, so a local rapper, his name is Super MC, gathered 6 other MCs, including myself. So for a total of 8 of us. And we broke the Guinness World Record for the longest freestyle. And so we started at 11. It was a Friday night. So it was 11 p.m. on a Friday night. We were supposed to start at 8 o'clock. So we were sleep deprived. We was like, we're going to start at 8 o'clock. This is great. And then it was like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And then we started and we went all the way until like 12:30.
Wow.
Saturday. And like, no
Stayed
break.
up all night.
Yeah, all night.
And
How
so-
rotated? I want to say 24.5 hours, but we went over it. So we went till 12:30, but it only recorded 24.5.
Okay, and the previous record was
24.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So you just went back to back, like just picked up.
So it was
free
sometimes
flow?
2 people, sometimes, and it was crazy because it was just like you couldn't repeat things. Nobody did writtens, so nobody did verses that they already written. It was literally just generating.
Oh my gosh.
Content.
Do you have like your go-to words or
And
phrases?
okay, so let's talk about that. Totally. So the funny thing is, like I said, in my mind, all I was thinking was TEDx. My friend asked me to just say, sure, I freestyle. It sounds fun. It sounds great, whatever. I'd done it before with another group at this thing called Atlanta Third Coast Festival. And it was like, okay, it's 8 of us. It'll work. And I was like, oh my God, it's only 8 of us. And that's all that came out for like 4 hours was my go-to phrases. And I was like peeing my pants. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm sucking so bad right now. But then I kicked in at about like 1 in the afternoon.
What are your go-to
get your life.
Yeah, what are your go-tos?
In that moment, and I think it was too because it was like I was like low key intimidated. I was like, oh my God, they're killing it, and I'm a bumbling idiot right now.
You felt like the weak link.
Yeah, and I was like, so I pulled my bootstraps up and got my life.
I'm sure
so I
you
didn't
did.
even know what it was. It was just like, just the same stuff. I fought against it. It was like, don't have the same words, the same thing. Because it's one thing if you have like a train of thought, but it's just like, okay, what are we talking about for 24 hours?
Yeah, that's intense.
But it worked, and it was
So can
cool.
people hear that? Like, was it recorded?
Yes, they'll show. Yeah, they have
Yeah.
like snippets and recordings, and it's like up on our pages.
The next party you're at, they're just going to drop it on, and the DJ's going to go.
Oh,
walk
God, I
away.
hope so.
Right.
I'm going to sneak that to some
back to
DJ parties. Yeah.
What do you get if you set a world record? Do you get like a certificate in the mail?
You don't get, I don't know if we get a certificate. I don't know if we get, a lifetime supply of Guinness.
It's just
Yeah, just the books. You get
of the books of the beer. I don't know.
I think you get the bite-sized Three Musketeers,
Yeah.
apparently.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what happens.
So, Mahogany, before you go, let's tell everybody how they can find out more about you and what you got going on.
Please follow me at www.mahoganyjones.com. I'm a big Instagram person. I'm a follow backer. So that's MAHOGANYJONZ.
All right. Well, I know you got a duck.
Yeah.
Because we were hanging
She
out and
is
having so much fun. But
cool
she's
stuff
she's
to
got to
do.
go. She got to
Yeah.
go catch a ride.
Yeah, a long ride.
Yeah.
So go take care of things. But thanks for stopping by. And
Yeah, thanks for
coming
being
on the show.
here.
It was great. Thank you guys so much. It's lit.
This is the Deep Breathe.
On stage.
Look at that. Our third co-hosts are just disappearing faster.
I
and
know. She's like, I'm out. No.
I think it was all that haunted house talk.
Yeah,
I think
I
it scared her.
know. She got angry.
No.
Which I don't blame her.
But
Yeah,
thanks to
no,
Mahogany
I know.
for
Isn't she
stopping.
delightful?
She's awesome.
I know.
She really is. I
Yeah.
really like her.
She's so much going on. So
All right, let's talk about some of the things that are happening on stages around town. Wednesday, the 10th, there is a screening of RoboCop, which I didn't even know till I moved here. Because it had been so many years since I'd seen this film. That
You didn't know it was
took
Detroit?
place here. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
And that it was such a legend. This is happening at the Senate Theater, but what's really exciting about this is that the actor Peter Weller, this is the guy who played RoboCop. He played Alex Murphy, like the lead role.
Yeah.
He's going to be there for a panel discussion afterwards.
I don't think you'd actually recognize him though. 'Cause
You know what? I saw him in an episode. I mean, again, it was a while ago, but he's in one of my favorite episodes of the television show Fringe.
Okay.
And he was fantastic.
Oh, cool.
So if you want to hear him talking about it, it's absolutely free. And like I said, it's happening over at the Senate.
I think Senate is. I've done a tour of a bunch of old theaters in town, and I think Senate is one of those that they have a little green room where when they have the famous people and they sign the wall.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they have. Yeah, so I bet he'll be signing the wall.
Nice. Also, of course, it is Theater Bazaar happening at the Masonic
best
Temple.
time of year.
I have never been. You've
You
been to
should
this.
go. It's super fun.
I got to talk my girlfriend into going. She's she's like hesitant.
What
you know?
What is she hesitant about?
The adult themes, I think.
Well, okay, so you can. There's definitely areas that are more sexy that you can avoid.
Okay.
So it's clear. Okay.
Right.
So it's 8 floors in the Masonic. So a lot of it is just the coolest Halloween party you've ever been to, like
Right.
with just dripping with candy corn and pumpkins and lights and taxidermy. And, everybody comes in costume. You cannot be let in without a costume. And so it's just super fun people watching. But it's very clear, like, here's the S&M room.
Right.
And you have an entrance and an exit, and they only let so many people in. So, yeah, you might see some, there's people in body paint.
Yep.
That don't have any clothes on.
I'm down for it.
I
but,
liked it. There's burlesque.
I may need you to place a phone call and see if you can do.
I can give her the inside scoop. So it's fantastic.
By the way, I did get a little bit of the inside scoop because I sat down and talked to John Duvient, the guy who created it all.
And I saw him speak at TEDx.
Yeah, and he's fascinating.
Yeah.
And the story of how this happened, because they literally took over, basically illegally, like parts of Detroit, and started setting this
There
thing
by
up
the
for
fairgrounds.
years before
Yep.
the mayor figured it out.
At least 10 years.
And they had to find a new home, and they eventually founded the Masonic Temple.
It is the perfect home, to be honest with you.
Totally. I can see why.
Yeah,
He tells this story, so go back and listen to that episode if you want to hear it.
Feast for the senses, for sure.
Friday night is the gala, and Saturday night is the big masquerade party that everybody goes to. Like you said, costume is required. At this point, I don't think you can get tickets online anymore. You have to get them. There's certain retail shops.
Like Leon and Lulu and Clausen is where I bought ours. There's different record stores, different places around town you can find online.
If you go to the website, they will tell you where you can go.
Yeah, it's about
$100.
$100.
But it's an amazing event. On Sunday, the 14th, you've got Mitch Albom, who's got a charity benefit at the Detroit Opera House. This guy's got a new book coming out.
Yeah, I heard about this, along with the heaven theme.
He had that huge book, The 5 People You Meet in Heaven.
Yeah.
He's had a number of Tuesdays and with Maury and a number of big
great
books. But he's actually written a sequel to The 5 People You Meet in Heaven. It's called The Next Person You Meet in Heaven.
Good title.
And people who are going to be there, Anderson Cooper, Jane Pauley, Bob Costas, Tim Robinson, and Sam Richardson of the Detroiters.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Are they all
star-studded.
going to be speaking?
I think they're all doing different things.
Oh, okay.
Jim Harbaugh is going to be like video phoned in.
Oh.
I don't know why he couldn't make the hour drive.
Yeah.
But all the profits are going to go help orphans in Haiti.
Very cool.
That's a cool event. And then finally, there is a play going on called Pipeline. It's a play by Dominique Morassu. It's happening at the Detroit Public Theater. I wanted to mention it because Dominique is one of 25 fellows who just won the Genius Award. And this is from the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation. This is a big deal. She's won, among other things, $625,000 that she will receive over the next 5 years.
Wow, to pursue her work. That's such a gift to an artist, to be able to know that you can devote yourself to your art and eat.
And she's been turning it out for a while. So Pipeline premiered last year at New York's Lincoln Center. She also wrote Detroit 67, which was at the Detroit Public Theater last year.
To huge accolades.
Yeah, so definitely that's something you're going to want to check out. A couple of other things. Evil Dead, the musical, is opening at City Theater this weekend. At Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle, you have Jeff Neese. And at the Punchline in Southfield, you have Faison Love.
The D. The D. Breathe.
Food and drink.
All right, Becky, what's going on in the world of food and drink?
We always got to talk about the beer news. So there's been a craft beer merger.
Ooh.
First of this kind of deal for Michigan craft breweries. So, the whole problem in the industry is these big breweries buying up the little craft ones, and then they're not independent anymore, and it might affect the product. So Roke Brewing Company is acquiring Right Brain Brewery. These two got together and said, hey, maybe we can remain independent, do what we want to do, but combine our resources and be more competitive in this larger environment. And maybe this will become a trend to other Michigan small breweries. So they are each going to offer each other's beers in their tap rooms. They're going to each use each other's distribution network. So we'll see how this goes. So Roke is in Royal Oak, Right Brain's in Traverse City. So you can imagine they're far enough apart.
Right,
but
that they can. Yeah. And that's not an uncommon thing to do. I mean, you often see these breweries with a rotating tap handle or something like that.
Guest tap.
Right, a guest tap, and
yeah.
they're supporting each other. So I guess this takes that to the next level.
Yeah, so good luck to them. So how about how do you feel about cheese and chocolate?
I'm good with cheese and chocolate.
Are two of my favorite things.
I'll be honest, it's one of those things that like I don't actually know much about cheese and chocolate, but I will totally go like wine. You know, I'll totally go in and I'll pick a bunch and I'll go, let me try that. Let me
yes.
sniff
How about
it
this
and
one?
examine it closely and pretend like I knew what I'm talking about.
Exactly. Well, how about if there was a place that you could go into that would help you do all that?
Oh,
That would
I'm
have
down.
Experts and lots of samples. So there's this place called Provisions Cheese and Chocolate Shop that's in Ferndale. It's been open just under a year, so they're opening up a second location in Midtown on Cass. They're going to call it Monger's Provisions, so a little different twist on the name. So they're going to have this really like well curated, selected bunch of stuff, including cheese, chocolate, the meats, the olive oils, jams, dried fruits, along with all the things you need to serve them. You know, the special knives and the cheese boards and accoutrements, if you will. So they're going to have tastings and classes, and the owners are experts in their field. So here's where it really is cool to go in there, and you can ask these guys. So the owner, Zach Berg, he worked in catering, bunch of restaurants, including Zingerman's Deli, which I don't know if have you been? It's in Ann Arbor.
No, I haven't.
It's like off the charts great.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And he attended the Culinary Institute in Napa Valley. And then his co-owner, William Werner, managed Gale's Chocolates in downtown Royal Oak for years. And he's traveled around the world studying chocolate.
Ooh,
what a job.
That doesn't suck.
And meeting the people that make it. So you got these two experts in each of their fields helping you select.
I will say recently I found myself in need of a cheese shop.
Okay.
So my girlfriend and I went on vacation. We went up to Sleeping Bear Dunes, and then we went to Traverse City. And while we were in Traverse City, we went to Cherry Republic.
Oh, sure.
You've been to this. They have one in Ann Arbor. They don't have one in Detroit yet. And I asked them if they're going to bring one to Detroit.
Oh,
they
what'd they
said
say?
They said they're working on one. I don't know if they haven't found a space that they'd like to, but
that seems
it hasn't
like a
happened.
good fit,
I think they're
yeah.
up to 6 now around Michigan.
Okay.
But you go in and they have all those different jams and jellies that are all made with cherry. And there's a habanero cherry one, and
cherry salsas,
right?
and,
absolutely. So we bought a bunch of those because that's why they leave the open jars there.
Of
you
course,
taste them and
and they're
go,
like, this is great. We need to have it.
Oh, the pecan cherry was amazing. And we left and we're like, we need cheese to go with this.
Yeah.
And we went looking around for a cheese shop. And in Traverse City, a lot of things are closed on Sundays.
Yeah, it's true. It is kind of old school that way. Yeah.
And so we went to a cheese shop, but it was closed. And then we went to kind of a gourmet, grocery store, and it was closed.
Oh,
and,
darn.
and we were
ended up at the Kroger or something.
Yeah, I don't even. Yeah, something like that. I don't remember. But so we need cheese shops. So I'm glad to see one of these.
There's a bunch in Detroit now. So
will they be
cool.
open on Sundays?
Oh, yes.
All right.
Yes, they will. So I got to tell you about this amazing dinner I had Saturday night. So a few weeks ago on the podcast, I mentioned a new opening of Albina in the Siren Hotel. So I think still not a lot of people know about it, and it's definitely a special occasion place. Okay, this restaurant has 8 seats, 8. And it's in the back of the Siren Hotel. Like, if you didn't know where you're going, you would not find it. This is not a place you wander into. And it's prepay up front.
Wow.
So you go and you make your reservation online and you pay $130 a person. Now, that may sound crazy.
Is that a tasting menu? It's
a tasting menu.
Okay.
So you don't get to pick. There's no, it's 10 courses. Chef Garrett Lepar, this has been his dream for a while to open his own place. He was formerly of the restaurant Torino in Ferndale that's closed now, but it was 2014 Restaurant of the Year. And he's just all about innovating, creative new flavor combinations and new techniques and everything. So he has landed in this spot. I'm telling you, it was such an amazing experience. The whole interior is very sparse, but I think that's very intentional. The focus is on the food, but it's very calming too. And they were playing like great music. You almost felt like you were in a spa for food. The kitchen is all open, so you can see everything they're doing. And it's spotless, like stainless steel, just impeccably clean. And they're working in front of you the whole time and then telling you about the food. And each of the 10 courses was just, there was not one bad bite, not any. And I mean, I do like a wide range of food, and my husband does too. And we went for our anniversary.
Nice.
So it was definitely.
I was going to say, this has got to be one of those meals that you save up for.
Yeah.
Like
and I was
9
super
months.
impressed with myself because I completely surprised him. He was like, where are we going?
Right.
And, to get there, you go down this really dark hallway and stuff, and kind of like a secret entrance. But It was just a super cool experience, and some of the I can't even remember what it all was because each dish had 10 different things. But for instance, just really innovative stuff. There was Japanese eggplant with okra seeds, something you would normally throw away. The seeds of the okra, but they were fermented and a certain type of process, so they tasted like caviar.
Okay.
I'm not kidding. It looked and tasted like caviar. And this corn sort of pudding. So it managed to be highly elevated cooking, but also comfort food at the same time.
Right.
And he was saying his grandmother's from Slovenia, and he has some recipes from her and some twists on what she does. So there's a lot of love and history and inspiration that goes into his stuff. So to hear him talk about it was just amazing. And every bite was so good. It's so good.
I love hearing the stories behind the food. I mean, we
Yes.
were talking about this when Anthony Bourdain passed, is that, I love hearing the stories and hearing about the places that food is from and how the place
the culture
has informed it.
Right. So it's just Garrett, his girlfriend Tiffany, and his sous chef. I'm sorry, I can't remember her name right at the moment, but it's just the three of them running the whole thing. They do everything. And all the tableware was handmade for them, pottery. So everything's unique, everything's special. They had these hand-blown Austrian glasses for the wine pairing.
Nice.
You just felt like a king or queen,
right?
And it was, but yet comfortable too.
Huh.
Not intimidating. So
see, my 2-year anniversary is coming up. You're what? You're like over
23.
2 decades. Jeez. I
was a child bride.
Not even married. My 2-year dating anniversary. And my girlfriend wants to go back to the same place that we met every year.
Oh, well, that's cute.
It's cute, but I like to try new places.
And what place is that?
It's Cork.
Right. I mean, you can't. Yeah, you can't beat that.
Great place. We love it. We had fun. That was where we met.
But you're ready to mix it up.
I like to go to new places.
Yeah.
I was gonna talk to you about this off the air, but we'll talk about it on the air since you're here. Because I used to run a social dining group.
Right, I know. Yeah, this is right up your alley.
We called it Mystery Meat. And what it was these tasting menus. And the whole idea was you bought a ticket and you didn't know where you were going.
Oh, you didn't even know the place.
No. All
That's
you knew,
cool.
It was usually like $50 or $60, whatever it was, and that included tax and tip, everything but beverages. Mm-hmm. And all you knew is that you were going to go to some place, and we would give clues. We give 5 clues to the different places that you were going to go.
To tease it.
Right, and then you'd show up, and 20 people would show up. They'd all pay it in advance, and they would have their meal. And and it was a tasting menu. The only thing we said is that if anybody has any food allergies,
yes, the chef here can.
But other than that. We gave no direction to the chef. You do whatever. And we did, for example, if you ever seen the TV show Cheers.
Oh, yeah.
The restaurant that is Melville's, the television show, we actually did one at the real, because there is a real Cheers bar called the Bull and Finch Pub in Boston.
Yes.
And the restaurant that
I've
is
been
above
by there
that.
when I went to Boston.
Yeah, essentially the Melville's. We did one there that was dining in the dark, so you were blindfolded for the whole meal.
Oh, I did that in Switzerland once.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
super cool.
And it's narrated, and it's the whole thing. We did another one. There's something called a Miracle Berry. Where you eat it and the protein binds with your taste buds, and then everything that's sour tastes sweet. So you eat sour cream and it tastes like yogurt. You drink just lemon juice and it tastes like lemonade.
Wow,
it's bizarre. And so we had a chef at the culinary school there in Cambridge. Yeah, do this whole thing around that. So I've been thinking,
stuff like that. Yeah,
I have been thinking that maybe we should put something with the podcast here.
Oh, let's do it.
Every couple of months, go find a restaurant. You can pick the restaurant because you know better than I do. And we will just call them in on a Tuesday night, like an off night. We'll come in, we'll bring 20 people. It'll be whatever the ticket price is. And that includes, tax and tip and everything.
Yeah.
And they'll put together a meal.
Make it a little more accessible maybe than Albina, but not quite as special.
And, look, we would like to meet some of the people who listen to this podcast and hang out with them. So,
if you have ideas or you're into that, email us.
Yeah, go to the website, thedebriefdetroit.com, and email us. But I've been thinking about that. I was going to mention to you off the air.
Let's just work out the
put
details,
it out there.
But
I feel like we should do that.
I did just remember in my purse. Look what I have in my hand. Okay, I know.
What is that? It's like a scroll.
It's a tiny little scroll tied with string.
It's like the 11th commandment.
So, I was saying I couldn't quite remember what we ate, in order to describe it all.
Does it say on there?
This is the tiny little menu. So at the very end of the meal.
It looks like a Smurf wrote it.
It is. I'm going to put this on Instagram with something to show the scale. So it was the cutest thing. There was like a little candy and a little chocolate on a board and the little scroll in the middle. And she was like, this isn't edible, but
Right.
it's a little menu you can open up when you get home.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
This is the D.
Detroit.
This is the debrief.
All right, there it is. The retooled show. It's still a work in progress.
It
I think.
is. We'll hone in on it, and
We'll try to keep our third co-host from leaving halfway through the show.
we're rusty too. We've been off a few weeks.
I do feel like I'm
we're getting
not
our
quite in the
legs
groove.
back.
Right.
But I thought it was great fun, if nothing else.
Thank you to all of our guests who joined us on today's show, including the ones who, frankly, we pulled the recordings out of the closet. You hadn't heard those
I had
Erebus
not.
interviews.
And I'd be okay if I hadn't.
I think you would make it up onto the Wimp board.
Well, probably.
Don't forget, on Thursday's episode, we have Chef Maxell Hardy of the River Bistro and Coop. Absolutely amazing chef. I'm really looking
He is
forward to that
killing it.
conversation. And as always, you can subscribe and leave a review to this podcast wherever you find it, whether it's Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or Spotify. We're in there as well. Plus, you can download our mobile app. And if you want links to everything we talk about in the show, go over to our website, thedebriefdetroit.com.
We're going to have a lot up there today, after today, including, I wanted to mention that Mahogany Jones has a new album coming out in 2019. It's a jazz project.
Not even named yet.
Not named, with Chris Johnson.
Yes.
So you want to keep an eye out for that.
She's told us there was a working title.
Is Jones and Johnson.
Jones and Johnson.
And Jones.
But
yeah.
no guarantees that that's the final
No,
product.
no.
Because it's that fresh.
Yes.
All right, that's it for us. We will talk to you on Thursday. Until then, Detroit's moving.
Keep up.
The debrief.
Your guide to Detroit's arts and entertainment scene.